Yeah, buddy. Press him. Get that bad guy. Get that bad guy. Let me see your hands. Press him. Press him. Yeah, buddy. Get that bad guy. Stop resisting. Yeah, buddy. You get that bad guy. Stop fighting. Stop fighting me, motherfucker. Yeah, buddy. Press him. Yeah, buddy. You get that bad guy. Yeah, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, buddy. Come get it. Go ahead and go hands on. Got it. Get his arm. Get it. Don't fight no more. Let go. Right behind you. Coming up behind you. He's grabbing my arm. Coming up behind you. Stop resisting. Just fucking relax. One on. I got one on. Pull him. I'm trying. He got his shirt. Just rip his shirt off. You're off his arm. Yep, you're off his arm. I think it is. There you go. Bring that on.
Umbrella. She's up.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another episode of The Forecast. So we need to talk about where black people fit in on the Bill of Rights and especially the Second Amendment. Now, we talk a lot about unarmed black men who get murdered by the cops, but we haven't even began to address the armed black men who were murdered by the cops.
Now, Officer Zachary Rosen was one of two Columbus police officers involved in the deadly shooting of Henry Green in June of last year. Green was shot on June 6, the first day of the Summer Safety Initiative in the South Linden area. Police say Green was walking down the street holding a gun when two plainclothes police officers, Zachary Rosen and Jason Baer, approached him. Police say the officers identified themselves and told him to drop the gun, but Green refused to do so and shot at them. Both officers opened fire and Green was killed. Detectives determined that Green shot 6 times, Officer Rosen fired 15 shots, and Officer Baer fired 6 times, but it's not clear who fired first. A grand jury decided to not criminally charge the officers in the shooting. The shooting and the grand jury's decision sparked protests here in Columbus. Tonight, NBC4 got the investigative file concerning that shooting. Sean Lanier has looked through those records and the videos of the investigation. He's live at the Watch for Alert desk now with what he's found. Sean?
Well, Colleen, we got our hands on these files right here, the files for Henry Green's case, and we looked through the witness statements that were made. While many of them say they only heard gunshots and saw the aftermath, a few claimed that they saw and heard everything that happened that day. We are not identifying the witnesses, but we are sharing the statements they made to Columbus police.
Did you hear him say police or anything like that?
No police, none of that.
This witness says he was walking with Henry Green, his friend, right before two plainclothes officers shot and killed Green on June 6 of 2016. The witness claims he never heard police identify themselves as officers before they opened fire. Other witnesses claimed the same thing. One person nearby says they heard the officer say, quote, "You want to play with guns?" Another says he heard an officer yelling, quote, "Don't do it, don't do it." One of the plainclothes officers, Zachary Rosen, says he did identify himself, and according to his statement to detectives, it might have been him yelling, "Don't do it."
As soon as I exited the vehicle, I know I yelled police. I'm 100% sure of that. Ordering the individual not to move. I'm not 100% sure if I said don't move, don't do it, stop.
The other plainclothes officer, Jason Baer, backs Officer Roten's statement that they both yelled and identified themselves as police.
On page number 2 of your statement near the bottom, you stated, quote, "I was yelling police." How certain are you that you yelled the word police?
Certain.
And are you certain you heard Officer Rosen also yelling police?
Yes.
Some witnesses also told detectives they saw the two plainclothes officers with their badges on their chest after they exited the car, and then they knew that these were undercover officers.
Don't know white boy got no gun like that. Don't know white boy dressed like that in a car like that.
A lawyer representing Green's family said surviving relatives still don't understand why the grand jury didn't bring charges against the officers. He says the family does not feel justice has been served.
But situations like Philando Castile and Kareem Jones just proves that our Second Amendment rights aren't respected. They don't apply to black people. So God forbid you have a gun. Now, let's look at the Second Amendment in the Constitution. It says, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. Being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So here we even have the framers of the country, of the Constitution, saying they understand how important it is for the people to keep and bear arms for the security of a free state. Yet, there has never been a point in history where black people right to bear arms was not infringed upon, because they understand how important that is to the security of your state, to the security of your nation. And when you talk about gun control, whose guns are they really controlling? And we know when the Bill of Rights was introduced in 1791 that black people are considered property. They're 3/5 of humans at least. And this being the case that black people are 3/5 humans, there are no rights or laws that a white person is bound to respect from a black person. Which then later we found out to be the truth in the Dred Scott decision in 1857, where they said on record, as case law, that there are no laws or rights that a white person is bound to respect.
Hi, welcome to ANN News. I'm Edward Softwater, bringing you the latest developments in the move towards the end of slavery in the United States on today, March 5th, 1857. Our next guest has been fighting to abolish slavery in the courts for 11 years. Welcome to our show, Dred Scott, for what we will hope will be the most sensational court case ever to come before the Supreme Court.
Hello, how are you today?
Hello.
Well, I don't know about sensational, but I'm just fighting for freedom for myself and my family.
Right, right. Would you mind telling our TV audience what you feel are the most important issues in this case?
Sure. There are three important issues that we're focusing in on. The first one is Negro citizenship, which I feel I'm entitled to under the Constitution, particularly under Article 3, which protects all citizens. The second most important reason is I feel I should be free because I've been moved to free soil.
Okay. Well, for our TV audience, would you mind letting us know what you mean by free soil?
What I mean by free soil is my owner, Dr. Emerson, was transferred to the state of Illinois to a base there because the Army needed more doctors. As you know, Illinois it prohibits slavery.
Right.
So after a short while there, my owner, Dr. Emerson, fell gravely ill, and the Army then transferred him to Fort Snelling in Wisconsin. Wisconsin has been a free state since the beginning of this country.
Right, right. Well, thank you. What is the third reason or issue?
Finally, my lawyer has advised me that the Missouri Compromise and the Northwest Ordinance, both federal laws, prohibit slavery in the Northern Territories.
Okay. Well, besides the legal or technical issues, what are your personal feelings on this matter?
Well, I feel, as a person, I cannot be denied the right to life, liberty, or property without the due process of law. And furthermore, the Declaration of Independence states that we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. All men, not just some men.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on to our show.
Thank you, sir.
We appreciate it. I understand you have a wife, Harriet, and 2 little girls. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
What are their names?
Eliza and Lizzie.
Eliza and Lizzie. And how old are they?
Eliza is 19 and Lizzie is 9.
Well, that's wonderful. Well, we wish you the best, and
Thank you.
I hope that you and your family are able to stay together.
Thank you very much.
That's it for today. I'm Edward Softwater. We'll be right back after these messages.
And by the way, I still haven't read anything or saw anything that said black people are no longer inferior in the eyes of the law, so therefore white people are bound to respect it. I haven't seen anything that says black people are no longer 3/5 of a human. And I haven't seen any case that would overturn the Dred Scott decision in a court of law. So the question is, are we still considered 3/5 humans? Or is the Dred Scott decision still in effect? And you'll hear a lot of people say that, no, of course not, it's not in effect anymore. But, you know, words and actions are two different things. Because the irony is, after the 13th Amendment in 1865, whenever it was really passed, a couple years later, the NRA is established.
They use their media to assassinate real news. They use their schools to teach children that their president is another Hitler. They use their movie stars and singers and comedy shows and award shows to repeat their narrative over and over again. And then they use their ex-president to endorse the resistance, all to make them march, make them protest, make them scream racism and sexism and xenophobia and homophobia, to smash windows, burn cars, shut down interstates and airports, bully and terrorize the law-abiding, until the only option left is for the police to do their jobs and stop the madness. And when that happens, they'll use it as an excuse for their outrage. The only way we stop this, the only way we save our country and our freedom, is to fight this violence of lies with the clenched fist of truth. I'm the National Rifle Association of America, and I'm freedom's safest place.
And originally, the NRA was for gun control. Why? Because if Negroes was considered of the people now, then their right to bear arms could not be infringed upon. But, you know, back then it was easier. They could just pass black codes and say, well, black people can't have guns, but white people can have guns. No other immigrant but white immigrants can have guns to protect ourselves. Because obviously these black people are going to want revenge. But they were able to pass these black codes up until, like, what, Civil Rights Act in 64. You know, when you look into it, maybe Brown versus the Board of Education, maybe. And all they really did was just stop writing it into law and just making race-neutral laws, but implying it different ways and having stricter rules for one group of people and the other group of people. The NRA is pro-guns. They think America should keep their guns, but all through history, they have been silent when it came to the issue of black people's right to bear arms being infringed upon. They were one of the first groups infringing upon their rights. But, you know, during the 1920s, let a bunch of black people with guns show up, and they're going to try to burn your whole town down. In the 40s and 50s, they're going to kill you, burn your house down. When the Black Panthers came together and started teaching people about their right to bear arms, we see how fast those laws changed. They have no issues getting those gun control laws passed then. NRA ain't say a word. California is no longer an open carry state because of the Black Panthers. And when they talk about these gun control laws, they don't mean that their people aren't going to have guns. They don't mean the army, the police, they going to be having guns around you. That don't mean they going to stop investing their money into the military and building weapons. It just means you ain't going to have no guns. Because they understand if they can keep you unarmed, it keeps them in a place of power. How you going to police somebody when everybody around you got guns on them? You can't do nobody in that area wrong. But if none of these people have guns, and if they do have guns, you have the right to kill them now, because we still see that's happening. So now it could be one cop can walk into a hood full of black people and shoot one down, and ain't nobody gonna do nothing. How you gonna take your issues to the world court as a melanated person when America can just say, fuck you, and what you gonna do about it? How you gonna stop them from coming into your land and draining the resources dry to the point where it's destroying the damn earth? How are you gonna stop them from getting rich off your back? And they understand these things. That's why they've always had quote-unquote gun control laws. They always wanted to keep you away from bearing arms, having guns, having the ability to protect yourself. Because in their own words, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free nation. They understand the power that has. They have always said, well, if 3 black people convene together, that is considered a gang and illegal, because they understood how important unity is. Could you imagine unity in the ability to protect yourself all wrapped up in one? Now, me telling black people, go arm yourselves and defend yourselves and your kids and your families, your properties, defend each other, I would sound like a damn terrorist in the ears of America. But the truth is, that's as American as you can get, because that's what America was built upon. It was built on freedom from tyranny from the oppressor. But it's white people fighting other white people for freedom. So this is justice. This is truth. But, you know, me saying it to my people in this day and time is an act of treason. Because the truth is, if you take racism out of America, you have no more America. It was literally built on those foundations. It ain't no way around it. But I think all of my people, my brothers and sisters, we need to know our rights, get to know your state constitution, because that's very important. Get to know your laws around you, and if you can bear arms, bear arms. Protect yourself. Everybody has a right to protect themselves. I don't give a fuck what anybody says.
Now to our top story in Columbus tonight. 2 police officers and the city of Columbus are facing a federal lawsuit over an officer-involved shooting. This shooting that was caught on body cam. The family of Kareem Jones is speaking out today, saying he was killed without justification by the hands of police. In the body camera video, you can see Jones appears to reach for a gun in his back waistband. The officer fires his weapon, and a moment later, he reaches up with his left hand and turns on his body camera. But the system is set up to record 60 seconds prior to being turned on. We have NBC4's Courtney Yoon with our continuing coverage now from federal court with the details of this lawsuit. Courtney?
Ellie, the lawsuit states Jones was shot unjustly and that he presented no threat to anyone during that time. The family's attorney says that the Columbus police have a history of using excessive force and that they hope that this lawsuit will change that.
The family is seeking justice and reform, and that's why the lawsuit was filed.
Less than 2 weeks ago, 30-year-old Kareem Jones was shot by 2 Columbus police officers and later died from his injuries. Police say Jones was walking between cars, acting erratically before officers confronted him.
I think that the state of Ohio and the city of Columbus has a history of unjustified police shootings and the use of excessive force, and this federal lawsuit is here to address that issue.
The lawsuit alleges that Officer Samuel James and Officer Mark Johnson, quote, conspired with one another to prepare false, misleading, and incomplete official reports.
The statements from eyewitnesses, the video, and other evidence contradicts what the police have said happened in this situation.
Keith Farrell with the Fraternal Order of Police says the officers involved haven't made a statement yet, and that what he saw in the police body camera footage was a man not complying with police and then reaching for a weapon.
This did not have to escalate that way. If he would have complied, put his hands up and stopped right then, the police officers could have removed the gun. If he was charged and arrested, if he was stopped illegally at that point, all those charges would have been thrown out and they could have been held civilly liable if that was the case.
There is no audio in the body camera footage until after the shooting. Jones's sister, Marika Phipps, says the devices were worn improperly and changes must be made.
We have so many unanswered questions about what was actually said in that moment. What triggered the officers to, pull their guns on my brother? What my brother was saying in that moment, we don't know.
We reached out to the City of Columbus and Columbus Police for comment on the lawsuit. The City of Columbus said it does not comment on pending litigation.
And As we've been reporting, CPD officer Zachary Rosen was one of the 2 plainclothes officers who fatally shot Henry Green in June of 2016. A grand jury last month declined to indict either of those officers in Green's death.
Now, we're still combing through the documents of that case. NBC4's Rob Sneed is at the Watch for Alert desk tonight. He has firsthand accounts from what the witnesses had to say happened that day. And Rob, what can you tell us?
Well, Mike, I looked through more than 100 documents and listened to hours of testimony. Now, there are so many different accounts about what happened, but of course we are choosing not to give the names of the witnesses. A chaotic scene following the shooting death of Henry Green.
From what I saw and heard, that the police told him to get down or something, and one of the boys, not Henry, but the other guy had ran.
NBC4 now getting our hands on the investigative records on the shooting death of Henry Green. So many different accounts of what happened. Authorities say Green flashed a gun first, then fired shots moments later. Several witnesses say otherwise.
You never saw Mr. Green with a gun at all?
I didn't see him with a gun at all.
Both Officer Zachary Rosen and Officer Jason Baer claim they identified themselves as police. Hear what Rosen had to say during his formal statement to investigators.
I pulled my badge out of from under my shirt and had it.
So it was displayed?
So it was displayed on my chest. Silver badge over top of a blue shirt.
According to the records, one witness says that's not what happened.
When I seen it, I see she was coming only from the inside of the car, which were the 2 undercover detectives who didn't have their badge shown when they had hopped out either.
In a recorded conversation with Green's parents, one investigator acknowledges there are multiple conflicting stories out there. He says many of them are false.
Startling new information tonight on 2 stories. One involving a police officer caught on camera seeming to kick a handcuffed man in the head. The other involving one of the most controversial police shootings in years, the shooting death of Henry Green. NBC4 has learned the same police officer is involved in both of those incidents. Good evening, everyone. I'm Colleen Marshall. Mike is off tonight. Tonight, brand new information on both of these controversial stories linked to Officer Zachary Rosen. Sean Nadir has been able to review the entire investigative file for the Henry Green case, just released to us by the police department. But first, Courtney Yoon is live at Columbus Police Headquarters with new information on the video that is lighting up social media. Courtney?
Colleen, neighbors and social justice advocates we talked to today say what they saw in this video was wrong and a blatant use of excessive force.
I am, sir. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
This video was taken early on Saturday morning by a neighbor in North Linden.
I didn't have to kick you in the face like that, dog.
Social justice advocate Kinyansola Oye says she believes the officer used excessive force.
The guy was on the ground already. He already had restraints on him. What is the point of continuing to stomp him out on his face? What's the point of that? There is no need. Like, you already got him down. He can't move. He can't do anything else.
According to police reports, the man on the ground in the video is 26-year-old DeMarco Anderson. He was arrested by Columbus police because he had threatened to shoot at a neighbor around the corner from where the video was shot. Anderson was charged with improperly discharging a firearm, having weapons while under a disability, resisting arrest, and possession of drugs, among other things. NBC4 received this statement from the Columbus Division of Police stating, quote, "The action taken by one of our officers does not meet the standards by the Columbus Division of Police. It appears to be inconsistent with the values and training we instill in our officers. The officer self-reported a kick to the suspect while the suspect was in custody." Around 9 o'clock in the evening, Columbus Police sent out an update on the investigation. The officer named in the incident is Zachary Rosen, the same officer who was investigated for the shooting death of Henry Green. CPD said, quote, "Officer Rosen has been reassigned to a non-patrol duty indefinitely."
CPD says Officer Rosen is currently under investigation for his actions.
Okay, step over here. When the officer asks you to come to him and talk to him.
But that's because I'm cutting the yard. I'm kind of busy.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make my money.
Yeah, but when I saw you, you were going from door to door to
Yeah,
door.
I'm putting my business cards out.
Yeah.
Look.
Well, see, that's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Okay?
that's all you have to ask. You know, you see me cutting
But
grass, man.
let me see your ID.
I don't have it on me.
How old are you?
19, sir.
What's your name?
Marvin
Marvin what?
Gibson.
Date of birth? What's your
10,
date?
12, yeah, 2012, 99, sir.
$10-12.99?
Yes. Now, what is all this for?
What is all what for?
Take my name down and stuff.
Because I'm investigating what you're doing.
What do you mean investigating?
Whenever an officer asks you for your ID, you're supposed to provide your ID. If you don't have your ID, I don't care what you're doing.
Okay, can I have your card then? Can I have a card, or you write your name down for me, please?
Or 77, how you check on?
Can I have a card, please, sir? Write your name down for me.
Tell you what. Just turn around, put your hands behind
For
your
what?
back.
Hey, nope. Hey, this man, look, hey. Look, this man trying to arrest me. It's on camera. Hey, nope. Hey. Look, I asked him for a card, but I got it all on recording. We going to court, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. No. Hey.
You want to come over here?
I asked him for a card for it. Now he trying to arrest. Hey, I ain't did nothing. You cannot put me in handcuffs, sir. Put them back in your pocket. I'm asking you. Hey. What's the problem? Hey, look. I'm not understanding the reason that you're not talking on that mic because you don't got nothing to talk about. Exactly. We cutting grass, sir. You harassing us. We putting cars in people's door.
Put your hands down. Put your hands down.
My hands are
Put your hands down.
His hands not up. Give me a card. I need your name.
You can't just because he's black.
Yeah,
That's what you did,
yeah.
just 'cause he black.
And I'm putting cards in the door right here.
Look,
this all we doing. This all we doing. You don't need my ID. Why are you trying to run my name? I need a card. I need your name.
No, we don't
Yeah,
need
no, Marcus, no. Look, cause look, if I don't do something about it, he gonna keep doing it and somebody gonna get hurt. I need your name. I need your card. ASAP. Matter of fact, nah. You harassing me. Get out my yard, dude. No, y'all harassing me. I swear to God, all we was doing was cutting yards. Move around. Okay. Hey, move around. Get out my yard. All we was doing was cutting yards. Look, dude, I'm gonna give you 10 seconds to leave, dude.
Excuse me.
Leave. I swear to God, they just harassing. You on the phone, Marcus? I swear, look, we cutting yards. He pulling around there. I got the video of that too. I'm glad I got the video because y'all dirty. You up to no good. Why are you here?
Because we need
to talk to you.
I don't want to talk to you. We ain't got nothing to talk about. I don't know you. You don't know me. Matter of fact, leave your card right there. I need your name. I need your name.
You need my information?
Yes.
You're not gonna give me your information?
Yes, because you harassing me. You harassing me. I didn't do nothing. We cutting yards. Why is you and your mans harassing me?
This is the first time
Or get out of my yard then, dude.
No, we
All right,
got a reason to be here.
What's the reason?
Because we need to get you identified.
You don't need nothing. Why? I'm cutting yards. I'm minding my business. You harassing me. They're around the corner. They probably put them in. Look, this dude said, come here so I can put you in handcuffs. I'm like, for what? For what?
Why did you run from him?
I didn't run from nobody. I came home. I'm minding my business.
It's like you got cameras, we got cameras too.
All right, that's good. I'm glad you got cameras because you're going to look like a fool on your own camera. Bald head, Mr. Clean.
Sir, did you arrest the officer?
I'm not answering none of those questions.
Look, this man is dirty. Y'all need to stop that.
How do you think we got to your house?
Hey, I'm finna close and lock the door. Y'all come through the house we soon. Hey, come in, come in.
All we got to do is talk to you. That's it.
Come in.
Just talk to you. That's all we got to do.
All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, recently in my city, in Richmond, Virginia, there has been a heated discussion going on about whether the monuments and the statues should be removed.
Monument Avenue is one of Richmond's most beautiful streets. Along with Jackson Ward, is one of only 2 National Historic Landmark districts in the city. But my fellow Richmonders, something is wrong with this picture. It's the story told by the Confederate monuments that give the street its famous name and have defined its landscape for more than a century. It was written in stone and bronze more than 100 years ago, not only to distort history by lionizing the architects and defenders of slavery, but also to perpetuate the tyranny and terror of Jim Crow and usher in a new era of white supremacy. These inanimate objects were designed to do what the Confederate generals and the racist ideologues they depict could not: keep the free African people in Virginia in bondage. In fact, it was nostalgia masquerading as history. Part of the false narrative, the alternative facts, if you will, that we will begin to fact check starting today. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our time. It's our responsibility to set the record straight today. It is my belief that without telling the whole story, These monuments constitute a default endorsement of a shameful period in our nation and in our city. And that is why I'm pleased to announce the creation of the Monument Avenue Commission. The job of this commission will be to solicit input, public input, and make recommendations to the mayor's office on how to best tell the real story of these monuments. I have also asked the commission to look into and solicit public opinion on changing the face of Monument Avenue by adding new monuments that would reflect a broader, more inclusive story of our city. That is our goal. I know there's pain in the history of our city.
Now, to me, the ironic part about all of this is, what do they say about Black history? Just forget about it. It's in the past. It's over. Can't we start from right now? Start from scratch. But they have no problem teaching you all about their history. And if you dare say, well, you know, these people were kind of evil people, and we should have their statues removed because, you know, they own other human beings, raped a bunch of women, they killed a bunch of Black people. They say, no, we can't tear these statues down. Now, even though these statues are people like Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, Jefferson Davis, of Jeb Stuart, there's a statue of a guy named Matthew Murray who was intended to be erected in D.C., but after so many people objected to it, they just said, well, let's just bring this down to Richmond, Virginia. Now, despite these people's shaky reputation, they feel the need that it's very important to keep their statues up so they can remember their history. See, they understand how important history is and why you need to teach it. And at the same time, how important it is for us to forget our history, which just goes to show you that all of this stuff is very intellectually dishonest, and they're doing it on purpose to keep you in the position that you're in. Now, you often hear people say, well, so many white people died to get Black people freedom. White people are the ones who got Black people freedom, which is a complete lie. You know, you hear the people who defend keeping these statues up say, well, it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights. And you hear the people who were for the Union say, it was about freeing the slaves. When in all actuality, the shit was about money. The war didn't even start over freeing slaves. The South was making a lot of money off of cotton, tobacco, and the North wanted in on that. But the Southern states said, well, no, you're not going to keep taxing the fuck out of us now. And after the South was kicking the North's ass, what did Abraham Lincoln decide to do? He decided to use a tactic that George Washington, his predecessor, had used. And said, Black people, if you come fight on my side, I will give you freedom. We will grant you the Emancipation Proclamation. He even said he didn't want to do it, but it was necessary in order to win the war and keep the Union together. And of course, every time America goes to war, they start becoming nice to Black people, and then Black people go help them in this war, and then they win the war and go back on what they promised them. Now, in Abraham Lincoln's case, and I guess that's why they call him Honest Abe, he actually did go through with the Emancipation Proclamation, but it didn't necessarily give freedom to slaves because it has the word except in there, meaning slavery is legal if what's supposed to be a jury of your peers, which are all white jury, is not my peers, says you are guilty, then you are now a slave. So it did not end slavery. And Abraham Lincoln said himself, well, that doesn't mean Black people aren't inferior to white people, meaning the Dred Scott case is not overturned yet. But the war was never originally to free Black people. It was to get in on the money that the South was making off of slavery. But the bizarre thing about the Civil War is I've never seen anybody lose a war and still be able to fly their flag. I've never seen an African flag flying at no federal state building. Hell, I've never seen a goddamn British flag flying at a state building. But they fought over taking down Confederate flags at state building, courthouse buildings. They have had to fight about that. Have you ever seen anybody lose a war and still get to fly their flag? Which makes me question who actually won the war. Here in Richmond, Virginia, they have all of these statues and all of this dedication to all of these Confederate soldiers. But they make so many excuses on why we need to keep it. But they make so many excuses on why we need to keep these national historic landmarks, as they would like to call it. And the fact that these monuments are a part of Richmond's $1.7 billion tourism industry, which means people come from all over to see these people who essentially fought a war to keep their taxes low for the money that they made off slaves, off of that free labor. And yeah, recently they have been starting to talk about the history of slavery in Richmond, Virginia. And this is recent, but the oldest monument in Richmond, Virginia is of Robert E. Lee. And it has been here for 127 years. That means in 1890, they put this statue in Virginia. Less than 30 years after the Civil War, they resurrected a statue of General Robert E. Lee. Not to mention all the schools in their name. I didn't know that's how war worked. But the point is, we see these people honor their history, their ancestors, as criminal, as thuggish as their ancestors were. They still understand the point of recognizing their ancestors and paying homage to them and showing remembrance to them. We have to start doing that with our own people, our own history. They recognize how important it is to have the Second Amendment to bear arms, to protect that history that they have. We definitely have to understand and start practicing this part. Regardless if they are a liberal or conservative, Democrat, Republican, on the left or the right, they understand one thing. They all agree on the white dominant society. It doesn't matter about feminists, MGTOW. They agree on the white dominant society. We have to agree on black love, black pride, black protection, black unity in order to defend ourselves. Melanated love, whatever you want to call it. At the end of the day, they will put all their issues aside to protect their society, to protect themselves. They control their own narratives. We need to control our own narrative. We need to protect our history, the history that we still have. We need to protect our children. We need to protect ourselves. We need to focus on resurrecting the black family and building our economy and not letting anyone take it, and understanding the power of history. We need to recognize it's not about what anybody says. It's all about what they do. So, I want to hear what you got to say.
And we begin with breaking news from Charlottesville, Virginia, where 2 people have been injured in an altercation with protesters who are out in force over the planned removal of a Confederate statue. Watch this. Well, this ugly scene unfolded just moments ago. From what we understand, clergy members have just arrived at Emancipation Park. That's the site of that protest today, leading groups in prayer. Meantime, militiamen armed with guns also began arriving a short while ago, and you see the result. Police are expecting thousands of people to show up for this demonstration today. The actual event was supposed to start an hour from now, but obviously the tensions in the crowd boiled over. All of this following violent clashes breaking out at a white nationalist march last night at the University of Virginia.
These are the familiar faces of Monument Avenue. There's a movement underway to add another one, Arthur Ashe. Do you think Arthur Ashe's statue should be put on Monument Avenue?
Sure. I think it would be a good idea for the black community to be able to go on Monument and have an historical black man who've done something for the community.
The Ashe statue will stand 24 feet tall. At the base, the tennis legend is surrounded by children. He holds a tennis racket in one hand and books in the other. Former Governor Wilder says the Ashe statue should be put on Monument Avenue, but some Richmonders don't agree.
It's more of a Confederacy type of theme, and we've changed. Richmond's changed a lot.
In fact, some tennis players say an Ashe monument should be near the Bird Park tennis courts.
I think it would be an inspiration to anyone out here playing tennis to know a son of the city's statue would be right here.
Arthur Ashe is perhaps best known for his talents here on the tennis court. But Arthur Ashe, the man, achieved much more than that during his lifetime. Perhaps it's only fitting that a monumental figure should be placed on Monument Avenue.
And Mr. Mayor.
Aye.
Ayes 7, noes none, abstain 1. The paper is adopted.
The healing of a city. That's how Richmond Mayor Leonidas Young is describing City Council's decision to locate the Arthur Ashe statue on Monument Avenue and Roseneath Road.
We hear and feel what you are saying in regards to a definite need for symbolism that finally ends the feud and reconciles Monument Avenue.
A majority of council members appeared set on putting the monument in Bird Park. That was before the 7-hour public hearing. Council members were swayed by the speakers. Many included the late Arthur Ashe's family members who pushed for the Monument Avenue site.
We need to have an avenue of this type that will express our full history and will express our full accomplishments of all people in the city.
City Councilwoman Viola Baskerville told council not to preserve the status quo by keeping Monument Avenue a street dedicated to Civil War heroes. And tradition was broken around 1:15 Tuesday morning when Richmond leaders decided to honor this native son on the city's most famous avenue.
The citizens of my hometown were not letting me down, meaning that they would ensure that it went somewhere that would befit the man.
Richmond's mayor is calling this the city's finest hour. Placing the Ashe statue on Monument Avenue is a step towards healing old wounds. But at least one council member says this former capital of the Confederacy still has a hell of a long way to go.
Mr. Huckabee on Wednesday took his judicial reasoning to a whole new planet. Listen to what he told conservative radio host Michael Medved.
Michael, Dred Scott decision of 1857 still remains to this day the law of the land, which says that black people aren't fully human. Does anybody still follow the Dred Scott Supreme Court decision?
Now, that notorious decision, again from high school history class, affirmed in the simplest terms that slaves were property. Governor Huckabee was equating the marriage decision to that and suggesting because we don't abide by the Dred Scott decision made by the court, the same should apply to the marriage ruling. Keeping him honest, though, when it comes to Dred Scott, let's be charitable and say it doesn't really work like that. It is not still on the books. Two reasons. The first, available for viewing this week, in fact, on PBS.
From director Ken Burns, for the first time in high definition, the Civil War.
That's right, the Civil War. And a direct consequence of the Civil War was a pair of amendments to the Constitution, the 13th in 1865, which abolished slavery, and in 1868, the 14th, which, among many other things, overturned the basis for the Dred Scott decision, no matter what people believed about slavery in the years that followed, and no matter what Mike Huckabee believes now about marriage. Joining us now to elaborate is CNN senior legal analyst Jeffrey Toobin. I mean, do you believe Mike Huckabee actually believes this? What do you make of this?
Well, I don't know. You know, it's Friday night, and my experience is most people on Friday night want to talk about 19th century constitutional history. And so, you know, it's just really a good time to talk about this.
Doubt.
And you know, what he actually believes and what he said, I mean, I think he does believe this. There's a whole school of thought that says you know, the God's law and nature's law can supersede the Constitution. A lot of people believe that, but that is not the law of the United States. It's not what the Supreme Court has said. It's not how the Constitution is written. But, you know, I think he's being sincere. He's just wrong.
But it's interesting because the same people who are arguing that would have a problem with Sharia, and people who believe in Sharia believe that the law of Sharia should supersede the law of any given land.
That's right, and you know, the Constitution is clear, and the way the court has interpreted the Constitution, you know, there are a lot of murky areas, but this happens not to be one of them. You know, the Dred Scott decision was overruled by the 13th and 14th Amendment. Everybody knew that. That was the purpose of the 13th and 14th Amendment. So the idea that Dred Scott is still on the books is, as you said, factually inaccurate.
Just turn around, put your hands behind
For
you.
what? Hey, nope. Hey, this man, hey, look, this man, look, hey, look, this man trying to arrest me. It's on camera.
It's the cell phone video sparking a debate. Did a deputy racially profile a lawn guy?
Or did the young man get arrested for not cooperating? The Harris County Precinct 1 constable stands by his deputies, but the man they arrested is planning to file a lawsuit.
Larry Seward is live downtown tonight with the story. Larry?
Lynn, more than that lawsuit, the man arrested, he filed an internal affairs complaint here today. Meanwhile, Constable Alan Rosen wants to be transparent, offering to share body cam, dash cam videos, even bring in the Texas Rangers to investigate use of force some deem excessive.
All you were going from door to door to
Yeah,
door.
I'm putting my business cards out.
No one disputes the clash between 19-year-old Marlon Gibson.
Let me see your ID.
I don't have it on me.
And one of Constable Alan Rosen's deputies with Harris County Precinct 1 ended with a police dog chewing Gibson's arm.
K9 caused this, but I mean, I don't know what was this for.
But there's plenty of debate.
All he had to do was give his name and date of birth.
Over why it happened. This video posted on Facebook has thousands of views and comments, and the guy who posted it, lawyer Lee Merritt, may sue.
That's a clear violation of the Constitution in terms of excessive force. It also shows that this officer was out of control.
Marin's three clients, Gibson, his brother Marcus, and friend Devontae Williams, run their own summer lawn care business in Houston's Willow Springs subdivision, where they see Deputy Shane Cates patrolling the neighborhood.
I knew it was a problem when he turned around.
Last Tuesday, they say Cates noticed them putting business cards indoors, interrupted their work, demanded to see Gibson's ID, then implied they were involved in break-ins. Marcus even claims other deputies pointed tasers and yelled racial slurs at him.
And he pushed me off the lawnmower, and I asked him what was going on. And he basically just said, shut up.
The community I know needs to hear the other side.
Constable Alan Rosen showed us the 5 deputies involved to prove race was no issue. He also says his deputies saw Gibson going door to door, a tactic used by burglars. Their suspicion only grew when Gibson had no ID and gave them the wrong birthday.
What I have seen thus far from Mr. Gibson is falsities, untruths. He has not been truthful about anything.
Rosen says deputies had no choice but to break down a door, then use their canine and taser to arrest Gibson when he wouldn't cooperate. Rosen then offered to bring in Texas Rangers to investigate. Gibson wants more. Gibson, his 2 business partners, and their lawyer all want each deputy involved fired. They also want voters to vote Alan Rosen out of his constable seat.
All right, and we back on the forecast. And of course, as a people, we have to start understanding our rights, even though, you know, it's a questionable area when it comes to the Dred Scott case. But if you have the ability to bear arms, you as an American citizen should exercise your rights that has gotten American its freedom, because the Constitution understands that a militia is needed in order to protect a free state. So if you want to be a free state, you have to be able to protect yourselves. We have to understand the importance of knowing the history, especially for us, the history that hasn't been destroyed. They understand the importance of understanding their history. That's why they honor these statues and fight so hard to keep them up. We need to focus on unifying and building for ourselves and protecting ourselves and protecting whatever we build. And at the end of the day, they learned how to put their tribalisms to the side. Don't get me wrong, they still have disagreements. They're still in their tribes. But at the end of the day, they know how to put their tribalism to the side. We have got to adopt this philosophy somehow. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something. Or we're going to keep falling for anything.